What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the JFH app test session for December 1st. And also on December 1st, we are launching today on WeFunder. Real World is launching on WeFunder. Real World, REELWURLD, is the production company that we have that is producing Justice for Hire. So the whole concept of making movies and shows and even commercials with the world, that's what Real World is all about. And now anybody in the world can invest in the company and help build out the team, which is what we're doing here. I'm Jan, and that's Andra, our CTO. And we have Sensei Claus, who's one of the, AKA Mike, who is a cast member in Justice for Hire, but also on the Real World team. So the whole point of this round of crowdfunding is equity crowdfunding, meaning that you own a piece of it. It's not a donation. You're actually buying a piece of a company and can actually reap the benefits as we're successful over time in the company. So just go to wefunder.com/realworld, or you can just search Real World, REELWURLD, on WeFunder, and you'll learn all about it and learn how you can participate. And even if you don't invest, go to justiceforhire.app and become a part of our first show made with an audience, which is what we're doing here and testing our cinematic universe, which is the app coded by the Andra right there. And all this stuff happens with our weekly, with our wonderful team, including Claus. So thank you. Jan out, but I will be here. So I'm technically not going.
Okay, awesome. In celebration of today, as usual, we go live. All these sessions are going on our YouTube channel, and we are testing the latest functionalities that we put out. And in the process, we're also polishing the visual experience, so we keep our eyes open for anything that doesn't look or feel the way we expect it to. We're going to start, all the tests are done on justforheroes.app. For today's main test, we need a valid email, and I think it's best to use our own accounts. Sensei and Jen will test from the brand owner side from Justice for Hire. What we're testing first is the look and feel of, we redesigned a section of the login page and the registration page. So we're just gonna see how that looks. We added our tagline, hire a hero or become one. And we're just observing how visually this looks. And then we're gonna go into testing changes requested to content that we already put out, saying we wanna change the description, or we want to change the title for if we create admissions. So without further ado, just let's go to justforheroes.app. And first of all, observe, and let's take a minute to discuss how the login page looks, which is the landing page. Any questions? No questions.
We're good.
Okay, well, justforheroes.app, and yeah, log in with our own accounts and request changes. Today is the first day when we're gonna do two separate, we're gonna test in the same session from two different instances, meaning Jen as the brand owner and the Justice F Hire client will test all the modifications that we, Andra or Sensei, request to the content that we put out. It's a major step. If Jen, you want to add something else, or we're good.
And there's nothing I want to add yet. I'm just sending you a note from the screen.
Okay, how does Sensei, how does it look with the new logo on the Android? Like, can you see this?
Oh, just a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it crowded? Is it proportional? How is it? How does it look? Is it loaded, the page, like visually loaded, or is it okay?
I gotta say, it's a little bit hard to tell because we have the graphic, well, the motion, the back, but it looks all right if I'm just eyeballing it. I'd have to really tell, I'd have to take a screenshot and break it down like last time. But at a glance, it looks good.
Yeah. Jen?
I think it's great. Just sent you the note to replace the colon with a period, but otherwise, I think it's.
That comes from the image. It was on the image.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, cool.
And Autumn sent you the image, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Or maybe it shouldn't have any, not even the colon.
I mean, it definitely shouldn't have a colon, but.
Not even the period. Or maybe the TM. Okay, cool. So this was the first minor update that we made, but every update, visual update or functional impacts the whole experience. So thank you for your feedback. Let's go now into our own accounts. Jen at justiceforhire.com, Sensei, your own account, and I will also go into my account and just request some changes to the missions and challenges that we put out, and see how the brand owner communicates with us the decision to approve or deny our requests. But it looks great either way, without that.
Incorrect password.
What? JFH 2020 exclamation mark?
I'm serious. Like, now I gotta change it immediately.
I will change it.
Oh, I should be able to change it from the back end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but guys, they never say passwords on here.
Unless you're on.
Not even on Android.
Is JennaJusticeForHire.com? Let me just say the whole thing.
Wow, what? The word was like auto capitalized.
Okay, so Sensei, did you find how you request changes to the content?
No, I'm still looking.
We will request and you will be testing how it shows on the brand
No,
admin.
I'm talking about changing the password.
Oh,
changing
yeah.
password is priority 1 right now. So I gotta do that. Now. So this is gonna be interesting because I've never tested changing a password.
Welcome, Xero. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much. So much, man. Great to see you.
It's an important day for us today. We're launching on WeFunder, so thank you for being here and keep an eye out for everything that we're doing. We're testing the requesting of changes to the content that we put out. I would suggest Xero to log into your JFH account on justforheroes.app where all the tests are happening. And if you have any questions, let me know. So the modifications that are waitlisted, how we call them, for which we need to get approval from the brand owner, are character name, mission call to action, and content produced description, because all this impacts the story. So log in with your account and then go and see any piece of content that you have out there and try to change the description. You will see that you're just able to request. And based on the decision of Jen's decision, you will receive an email saying that it was approved or an email saying that it was denied.
Okay, I did a name change and I threw in the usual, brackets test.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, so I went to the profile, I changed the name to Sensei Claus brackets test.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be working.
Okay, so it appeared as waitlist. Request, no?
I got approval pending.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I assume that's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, that's what you see on your side.
Yeah.
Okay, and then based on Jen's decision that he's testing now, you're going to receive an email.
I'm almost testing.
So I do get an email if he denies it, right?
Yes, you get an email if he approves it or if he denies it, and with a reason. We should just wait now because approval pending. Go and request some other modification,
do a few, because I'll approve some and deny others.
So go to content that you put out and change the description, or go to a mission that you created, or create a mission just for the test and try to change it.
Yeah, so basically stuff on your profile for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. You can also do it from the world page, but yes, mostly from your profile. That's the quickest.
Change my password.
So we're testing if we're receiving if we're seeing the pop-up with change request and Xero's not here. Well, I'll see you on IG. Yeah. Guru said that he's gonna be late, so. So again, we're testing how it looks and how it works. And I'm also going to request some. Also, I'm doing a test, which is an edge test, saying, for example, if I request a change but I don't change anything, it will tell me that there's no change detected, so it won't make any request. Okay, I made a couple modifications. I've requested a couple modifications myself. So now it's, we have to see how it works on Jen's side. And if we receive email notifications.
Oh, look at that cute doggy Sensei's put up.
Oh yeah, they're great placeholders.
So I have, you only done one so far, right?
Me, I did a name change and a description change.
Okay, I only see one. Well, hold on, let's see if one is. Change request, character name. Okay, great, now I see it. I'm getting used to the interface. All right, great.
This functionality adds to the interactivity of the platform and also communication between the client and the hero or villain, or the brand owner and the characters in the universe.
I just denied the character name.
All right.
I'm gonna approve. This is great. So these, so Andra, I assume these are going to stay in here because they haven't disappeared. So they would stay in here.
But no action will be once you take an action.
Well, what okay, so I've taken an action. It lists approved. I think that what would be helpful, just in terms of organization here, is one, if the latest were on top,
Okay.
because yours is on top. So
Okay.
if they're always going to stay, that means that that I would need to scroll down if they're not organized differently.
The latest pending.
And they should be dated. So they should be in date order, and I think the date should actually be stated somewhere.
Mhm.
If it's not a line item, it should be like at the top, because that'll help for the organization, and eventually it should be able to sort. So I think all these little conventions will be helpful. Search by character names, you know, we should be able to search by organized by date or by name eventually. So yeah, I'd say date and newest at the top.
Okay.
And I'm gonna approve, or so it's approved yours, Andra. Yeah, deny.
Yeah,
content
your change request. So this is how the email will look. Let's discuss a bit the content of the email as well. It says your change JFH app, your change request was approved. And that's, I mean, this all can be detailed depending on how What do you think about the email that you received, Sensei?
Looks pretty straightforward.
Would you need more information or?
I mean, it's not really supposed to be taken seriously in this context, where I guess we could do with some kind of boilerplate, but it would have to be specific enough, but not too specific. You know what I mean?
Oh, so instead of saying your change request was approved, your request to change mission content based on what type of request you made? Or what are you referring to?
That's the thing. It's a bit tricky because what I've got is an obviously personal response that Jan wrote, given the context of a test session, where it could be good going forward to have a couple of boilerplate things in regards to, say, a name change, where that's where it gets a bit interesting, given that a name is something that people largely think is their own, up to them to determine. So for that, it could be good to have a few canned responses like, we don't think it's good at this time, or, well, of course, if it's a yes, you don't have to say much if you're confirming something. So it's denials where you want to give people more info. So you could say because the project is ongoing, or because, we currently have this in production, or because we think that the character you're creating is distinct enough to warrant an entirely new account.
Oh, this will go
Mostly
towards
suggestions.
Jen and what the reasons for approval or denial could be.
Yeah, I think Sensei, it sounds like you're asking a question for essentially. I gave you quick, fun dogs are cute.
Exactly.
So, but these are essentially going to be when people really want to change stuff. It's going to be because it affects the whole story. It's going to be on a case-by-case basis for now, until we get to a place where we have more automated responses. And then when we have more automated responses, it'll be, we'll have to figure that one out, because it's either going to be, automation through AI, et cetera, that where we know that, hey, we have all this data, that the majority of requests are along these lines, and these lines don't impact the story in a tangible way, and therefore it's fine for us to approve them automatically. But if we don't have that data yet, so it's just a matter of like literally by hand doing it, which is totally fine for now.
No, I agree. I was answering the question.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were. Then I misheard that. I thought you were just.
Oh no, I said that what I got made sense in the context that we're doing right now.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Yeah. It's just, I was asked for feedback, so I tried to give it.
No, this is great.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
But yeah, some automation would be great if you guys, start getting a lot of these to have a certain word search or a filter.
Well,
because
the search is there, but because we didn't decide yet on what we're searching, I'm opening up to the testing to see what's gonna be the best. Like when we filter the change request, do we search for who asked for that request, or for what type of request? Like what are we searching for?
That's a good question. Personally, I would put in the filter based on user categories, where this is going to sound a bit counterproductive, but the more involved somebody is and the more content they create, the more priority they get, and that their question is daily answered faster. But the more likely they are to be denied, because again, if you have a big impact and a big character, then changing things could have more repercussions. Where if you have, say you just have a character profile and you've made nothing, and you want to change your character name, absolutely go ahead,
That's interesting.
So yeah, I would try and fast track people who are big creators, but at the same time, the more important you are, the harder it is to change things up.
Oh, or depending on how much of your content is used. So you still want to know if that content was used in the premium content, or you want to know.
Eventually, we should have a tag because we're entering into post-production
Mhm.
where this stuff is going to be utilized. So, for example, if we use who just did a neighborhood watch video or something like that. So like we use one of those videos, then that should be tagged. And we talked about this, like essentially the check mark.
Yeah.
So if it's utilized, we've talked about a system.
So if it's utilized, you should not be able to request any change.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, I think it really depends on what utilized means. So, but I think in general, if a piece of content is currently in a cut for a series, then it's probably going to be more challenging for us as a community to accept a challenge, a change after the fact, because we're all building our stories around something that we've all collectively.
I agree. And this is more a guess, but just based on what we've seen on Instagram, I think a very common request we're going to see is people looking to change their character name when they'd be better served just making another character.
Can you say that last part again? Search with another character?
Oh, better served making another character. So,
okay, interesting.
Yeah, back when the Instagram was more active, I saw a lot of guys, especially younger guys, who would say, I want to do this, I want to do that. And instead of changing things, just make a second character. It's not that hard.
Sensei, are you watching Hawkeye on Disney Plus?
No, was that an HBO or just Disney Plus? Because I don't have Disney.
It's just Disney Plus. It's really interesting. I don't know what'll come of me saying this, but it feels like it's the right thing to say. So Hawkeye, the first episode to second episode, is essentially him attempting to get his Ronin suit back. And if you remember in Avengers Endgame, he gets all upset because certain people die, and he puts on a different outfit and calls himself Ronin, or he's called Ronin, and he goes to Japan and he's like killing all these like bad guys for some reason. And so in context to our platform and the concept of character name change and what you just said in terms of potentially fast tracking certain people because they're create more. What I think that it's just interesting that you bring up something, the concept of this may serve the universe better if you just create another character as a response. And so when I think about Ronin and Hawkeye, they're two different personas, but they're the same person. So I think that's really interesting for us to, from a business thinking standpoint as real world, and from a universe thinking standpoint in character as storytellers, what is the difference? We already have thinking of, hey, okay, a user can have multiple iterations or characters that they create, of course, and that could span in one world or across world. But when does it make sense for a character to don a different, is it as simple as them changing a name? And I think that right now, since that's chronologically, like Hawkeye in the storyline and timeline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he changed his, he was Hawkeye, something bad happened, he became Ronin, something good happened, he became Hawkeye again. So there's, chronology there. So essentially, I'm just riffing here, but I think that it still makes sense for if someone changes a name, that name could potentially be considered a new character, but in the eyes of the story, not necessarily that they could still have their same like real name versus hero name. So they've changed their hero name, and when I say real name, that's in character real name. For example, like EQ is a character name of one of our characters, but one of our creators. But then EQ has his own alias, and he has multiple aliases. So I think the thinking has to be.
So that means for us as the brand admin, it means that that's a moment where you as the authority, when you deny that name change request, you will put in the reason, like Sensei said, this will be better served. We suggest you create another character and join the universe as the new name.
Yeah, and that could be.
So that's solvable by this.
What we're getting into right now is like the real dynamics of massive collective storytelling when it comes to lots of characters interacting and changing over time. So like this is a deeper meditation that I'm sure we're going to get more sophisticated at over time. But in the same way that Instagram took away IGTV, like people developed for IGTV, they created graphics, we created graphics for IGTV, and now they're all essentially useless within like a few weeks time. So like our behavior has to change because the platform has changed. And I think that to a certain extent, us not having a certain functionality right now that is deeper thinking, obviously we'll bring that deeper thinking in over time, and people will adapt to it. So. And
we have the liberty to create our own, because we have our own platform, so we don't need to depend.
So I'm not arguing whether the function should exist. I'm just saying that's a common response where people don't always understand. See, we're talking about it being a gray area right now, whether they should create something new or just change what there is. So if you're using the Hawkeye and Ronin thing, I haven't seen a couple of those movies, but I would think that in this context, it would make sense for it to be a change. But a lot of people don't get that because we're making this very specific thing, even though you create a character, you aren't necessarily that character. A lot of people are. Personally, I'm not. To me, I create Sensei Claus as a sight gag, I don't identify with him, I just think he's funny. So for me, creating a new character is very much what I would do, because he's a good sight gag. I don't want to change that and muddle things. I rather just, if I want a new joke, make a new joke. Whereas some people, they're very tied in with the character, so it does make sense to change. So I'm not saying don't have the name change feature. It's a good feature. I'm just saying that's a common response we'll have to people, because some people don't get that they can just do something new. So yeah, no, I don't think anything that's been said is wrong. I'm just saying I think people tend to approach things with an understanding that we won't necessarily want to go with,
I think that's, what you just identified is education. And I think that's really powerful. And so, it's what I'm gathering from what you're saying is that our approval or denial process is another opportunity to educate.
Yes.
On character creation. That's profound. And
well, there's a thing
right now. So thank you. That needs to be written in our lexicon documents. Thank you. Big deal.
Oh, cheers. So what are we testing next?
Sorry?
So what are we testing now?
Well, this was the main test for today. So we are done if Jen doesn't want to add anything else. Or, yeah, I am pacing this test sessions to make sure that they are, I would just have a question, because we started this conversation from what should we filter on? So for now, should we filter all these change requests on, so sorting them by the time they were created, descending chronologically, and when we search for who requested the change or for the type of change, because we have them broken down in categories, so I wouldn't search for it. I would just search for, Jen, I'm looking at you here.
So right now, this change request is education. No. But I'm listening.
It's education and direction. What should we search for? What should be the general search? Just for who requested it for now? Because we have search bars on every tab. You would want to search for, you want to search who requested it or what change was requested, or if it was a description.
Okay, so you're saying that in on the brand account in the back end, under when I'm looking through something, how would I want to search and organize if I'm?
They are organized per category, so we don't need to search for that.
Yeah, I would likely say that there's the two things that character name is probably the first, which is already there, I think. And outside of that, I think about date, because if and date, you know, from a brute force bare bones way, as long as it's like stacked where all the stuff that's the first thing is on the bottom and the latest thing is on top, that's an easy thing for somebody to work with. And outside of that, it becomes proper listing of the date for each one of when they came, and then it becomes the ability to sort. So, and sorting, I don't think we have a sort function anywhere yet. So I think that's something that would come later, but that's something that would be very valuable, because it's like, okay, I only want to see what came this week.
Okay.
Like that's all I want
and
to
see the ones who are pending. I'm not interested to see the ones that are approved.
Yeah, pending and
Like
approved.
Most status.
But also approved too. I want to see only the ones that I've approved.
So
because maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I approved something that should never have gotten approved because I wasn't thinking. You know, and so now it's affecting the entire universe.
So do we need an undo? If you approve something that you didn't want to?
I don't know if we need an undo, because I feel like that the undo function right now. First of all, like I think it's an edge case. Like it's a hypothetical and it's an edge case hypothetical. So it's just like, okay, hey, you know, I wasn't thinking. I accidentally pressed approve. I mean, you know, it would be valuable if one accidentally pressed something. Then I feel like I can.
Yeah, then we need to decide. Yeah, we can talk on the side. Sensei, if you have any other thoughts, but I think from you, like you received the email. So I discussed with Jen on the brand side. On the user side, you received the email informing you of the decision. Of course, Jen used for the test purposes. He used dummy answers, but they would be more detailed and in accordance to the storyline. Other than that, anything like, because you won't be able to, you're just receiving the approval pending. So you're gonna have to wait. You don't see any of this.
Well, I'd say that's where it kind of slides back to people who make more content, because when people see approval pending, then some people who are very involved and very invested will go out of their skin. And some people who have more casual approach will be very happy with a day or two, you know, or a week, whatever.
Yeah, but we're aiming at creators and people who contribute, and we have a lot of content already. So should we mark them as approval pending? What happens if they already requested a modification and it's pending? Will they be able to
from a user side?
From a user side.
So I think that, okay, so you're saying that right now, once you request something, there's no way to see it other than.
No, I can request another change. It's not disabled or anything.
Would it be too far to do a support ticket?
Say that again, please.
Well,
would it be too far to do a support ticket? Say they get an email after they get the pending notification, and then they have the ability to say, this is why I made the change, so on and so forth.
This sounds like these are two separate, these are two separate silos here. Well, one
Okay.
side is user facing. I just changed something. I want something changed.
Requested to change.
And then I don't see
And I think we talked about this previously, but I think it would be valuable to see something.
They
And-
just received the message, the short message saying approval pending, but it doesn't show.
We're talking about essentially on the delivery module
On the delivery.
or on the 3 dots.
Instead of edit description saying approval pending.
Potentially, but I mean, what if somebody? I think the challenge here is what is before we make a decision like that, we have to know. Sensei, can you make a change to something and then make another change because you're like, oh, hold on, you know what? I had a better idea, and then make another change. So like, and am I on my side going to see
Each of the requests.
Yeah. So and is that what's going to happen?
Yep.
Like, okay, so Sensei, can we test that right now, please? I think that's a really interesting. I want to feel what it feels like from the brand side for you to repeatedly request one thing. With let's say you forgot a period or you forgot a word in a request. So if you can make a request, then I will look on my side to see how
And I just realized what's missing. If you approve it, then that specific piece of content gets updated automatically.
Mhm.
Meaning if the title was requested, it has a new title on approval.
Okay.
So that's what's missing from this implementation, from this iteration.
What
Because now if you approve it, they just receive the email, but the content itself doesn't update.
Oh, you're saying that there's okay. So you're saying that So right now it's essentially surface level approval.
Yes.
Okay. So if approved, there's actually when I press that button, something happens on the content.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I don't think we should stop people's. I mean, just from and Sensei, I'd still love for you to follow through on that test, and I'll look at my end. But as a person who updates my YouTube videos a lot, you know, like I'll post a video and then I'll be like, oops, there's a word there that needs to be adjusted, and I'll adjust the word, etc. I feel like it's important, and I'll go back and forth like 5 times. Like literally, I'll go back and forth adjusting a YouTube video or my Instagram stuff. I'll do it 5 times in a minute's time. Like I'll be like, oh, oops, and I'll just go right back. So I don't think we should stop people from being able to change something, because then it'll stop people who move that fast. But we should let them know that they've already requested something. So it might be as simple as, Andre, what you were saying. I think it would be in the 3 dots where it says request change. It could still say change requested / request more or something like that. And then that would change back to maybe, and maybe, you know, it also may just be as simple as putting a little dot or color on something.
Now we're getting into draft mode and into requested by brand, selected by brand. The conversation gets a bit.
Not yet. I mean, no, I'm talking specifically just, you're saying, how do we let the user know that they've taken action on something
and they're waiting.
Remind them,
yeah,
and they're waiting. So either it's a tag on the delivery module, or it's a change in the language of the options in the 3 dots. I don't see another option. Do you?
No, what I'm interested in, I mean, I would show it on the delivery module, but it might be a bit confusing. Even so, I see only my changes, so it might not be confusing seeing that you have pending changes. But then you will want to know, oh, what did I request to change? So it goes into more. If we put it into the 3 dots, we will need to have a separate, if they have requests, say not to have it in the same menu item.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
To have it changes requested and see what they requested, and then another one, edit title or description.
I think it'd be
Because maybe if I see that I requested already, I won't go on edit title and description.
so I think the thing that we're attempting to help people. All right, we just got filed. We just got filed. That was the.
We need a picture. Can you take a picture?
Oh, we should take a picture.
When you should wear the
hold on.
t-shirt.
Guys, Sensei, if you turn your camera on, we'll do a nice little celebratory. Then we can return to this conversation. The 12 minutes we have left.
Just a sec. Yeah, I got to turn my lights on.
Oh yeah, hey man, if you could put cats all over your arms, that would be amazing. Also.
Yeah.
At least one here. Let's see.
Can you see the real world? I'm not sure.
Well, let me point to your shirt, but in the camera.
Let's.
This goes on YouTube.
Is that a sword in the background? Is that like a He-Man sword?
What?
Is that a
No,
sword?
that's a broom.
Oh, all right. Oh, we need to do it. Photo here. Oh,
Yeah, he's not into it.
Yeah. I mean,
hold on. I almost-
Yeah, that's a broom back there.
Oh, it's a broom. I thought it was I used to have a He-Man sword when I was a little kid.
I might send you.
Can you point to your real world? And I'm pointing to you.
Like this. No, like this. Or like this. No, like this.
Yeah.
Like this.
Oh, there's no cat.
There's no cat.
I'll try him again.
Yeah, it's okay.
Come on.
No, he's not into it. I can get the other guy. He's always down.
It's okay.
Hey, can you give us like a celebratory pose of some sort of victory? All right, thank you. All right, thank you so much, man.
Cheers.
So
Yeah, that one-
tag on the delivery module just says like something pending.
Changes in
I don't know what that tag should look like. Like changed request.
so we have
only needs
approval
one tag.
pending.
Yeah, approval change requested, or yeah, like something like change pending or approval pending. Is it approval pending? I don't know what the language is. But we need
No,
a little
approval
sticker.
pending, because we changed, we had coming soon. Then we changed it into approval pending, but approval pending, they see, that should be an email also. They should receive an email saying your change was received.
Oh, they don't get it. Okay. So
They
yeah.
only get an email. So they should get an email when they request,
Yes.
and the module should have changes pending.
Okay. Changes pending.
And then if the brand approves it, it automatically changes the title or description, and it removes the tag.
Yes. That exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a little tag which we don't know what it looks like, but I'm sure that it'll look great. And then
We have an amazing designer. I mean, look at the t-shirts. Autumn is super awesome. So between the three of us, we're gonna figure out the best tag for the delivery module.
Technically, the logo was designed by Susan Pickover
Yeah.
and Zach Shelton. God
So
bless him.
yeah, we.
But since there was
We'll
one
figure-
other silo though, so we clarified one silo, which is delivery module should have a pending approval thing, graphic sticker on it, and then Sensei, you were saying something else for that I forgot what it was. I can't remember.
I was talking about potential support ticket structure.
Okay.
We have.
Which might-
That's for something else. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Listen, Sensei.
Oh, so that might be farther than we want to get into right now, but I was thinking that especially if somebody makes a bunch of changes to the same thing, it could be good for them to be able to articulate what change they exactly intended.
Hmm.
So you say that they should also see the changes that they requested?
So say something makes a bunch of changes, it could be good since we have this email already for it to trigger like a support ticket response where they get and it would say, hey, we saw you made 3 changes. Can you just give us a quick summation of why you want this changed and what you want the change to be exactly? That way you don't fix it and they come back and say again, yes, sorry, that's not what I wanted, you know?
Sensei, I think this is really, really, I think that's great what you're saying, because essentially Andra's going to trigger an email. And if she's going to trigger an email, there's no reason they shouldn't get exactly what I have here, which essentially says original title and proposed new title, original description, proposed new description. So proposed by, yeah. So like all.
No, you will only see yours, so they don't need to see proposed by.
Yeah, oh, sure. But but I mean, that's proposed by. I mean, obviously that's proposed by them. But what I'm getting at is that original title. Essentially, what you're saying is to see the difference between what you had and what you've requested, and then you might say, if you actually go through the opening that email and say, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do something else. You can just request another change, and then it'll show you what the change is that you've requested. Again, people should be able to consistently make the changes. And
so should they be able to also retract their changes?
I think that, I mean,
because it goes into that.
I don't think they should be able to retract the changes, because essentially if they've made a change, it won't show up, it won't save yet, right?
No.
Okay, so then when they go back to access the module, they're accessing the original thing that they want to
which change is pending.
Which change is pending. So in other words, they're going to, so the only thing that would be updated, they would get a second email, and I would get a second request that is the newer one. The top one is the one I'll pay attention to.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and of course the system, there's a lot of holes in the system right now as I'm talking about it, but I think that's fine for now. So essentially yeah, I think they should get this. That they should just, this is the ticket essentially that Sensei's talking about, and it'll be more dynamic than simply saying your change has been is pending approval. It's like your change is pending approval, and here's what you asked for, and then you're like, yep, I did ask for that. I think it's great. Thank you.
Cheers.
So wait, people will see that in the email, or they will see that on the
email
tab?
I don't think they need to see it in the tab, because like what tab? Like in the 3 dots, you mean? In
the hamburger menu. The same way as the brand sees what's requested, they see their own content, and practically, because you have a different.
Wow. What do you think about that, Sensei? Would you want to see the history of the changes you've requested? I mean, I'd want to see it as a user, but that also may be a level of dynamism that might be maybe confusing, but also maybe, I mean,
we're going towards, I mean, I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but we're going towards accountability and seriousness in terms of creators, because we have a lot of people who are like very serious about creating and editing. Yeah,
I think so, the people that are in our community at this point are essentially brilliant. So, we should treat them as brilliant as possible, as brilliant people. So I think that's a wonderful idea to have your changes. So you're saying that it would be in the hamburger menu, and it would call, instead of brand admin, it would be changes requested, and it would be and when you press changes requested, it would open up change requests only for them. Essentially, so
no, it will, for them it will show change requests, and then it will be exactly the same, but it will be only theirs.
Exactly. So it says change requests only, and then it'll have
CTA, character name, content produced, missions and challenges.
That's great.
Okay, awesome.
That's amazing. I mean, like I just want to make sure that us giving them, I want to make sure that if we're adding something like that, that it doesn't. I feel like every time we add something, and also it has to be checked thoroughly. And my concern
it doesn't affect anything that is existing, because this does not exist. So it will be totally new.
Okay, but they will, like, my concern is that for example, like the differentiation between the functionality of what the brand has access to versus the user like they should be able to approve or deny. It'll just be a list.
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
sure.
It will be just a list.
That's great. I think that's a big deal. I think that's the kind of, you know, when I go into YouTube and they have some serious tools, like there's tools in there, there's lots of tools that I don't utilize because I'm not like that serious of a YouTuber. But I'm serious enough to let, you know.
You're a serious JFHer.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. So, and just because I interrupted you and I want to clarify that because this will go on the YouTube, we also have the support tickets report. We have report when we want, where we rely on the community to report anything that's wrong with a piece of content, like guns, language, whatever. And then the support tickets, again, is a separate functionality where you can say the app is not working. I tried to change my password and it didn't work, or so we have those. So we have report requests where you report something about the content until we get to implement our own flags and image recognition and everything in the actual video. And then we have support tickets when it's about functionality, saying it's not loading, I'm being stuck on a page. So that's why and this now will be the third, saying change requests, how you wanna modify your content, but only from the title or description side, because if you will need to, as we're having the brick in the wall, correct me if I'm wrong, you won't be able to modify the content. You're just adding new content. You're not modifying the content that you produced. You're just adding new content. I just want to clarify.
You're saying through the change request.
Through a change request.
You're not, well,
Editing content will also come in the future.
So to a certain extent, what is written, that's why the writing is part of the content. So it's not just the video, but it's how the video is framed through the text. So I think that's part of why we have that little disclaimer on top that your changes affect the story. So if someone says, hey, you know, like my mom called or someone's mother called here, blank, 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 and this needs to be done. And then they say, well, someone's father called here. That changes a lot because like it's a different person. So they've referenced a different person. And if somebody else took that, you know, fan culture takes the small details and makes them big. So if you change your wording, and that's where I think we need to get
words
really,
matter.
Yeah, words really matter. Like everything. So.
Okay. Okay. So I just wanted to clarify that, because they will need to shoot another piece of content. They are not able to update or edit the content that will come, but they are able to edit the title or description, the writing. Not the actual video.
Yeah, no, you can't delete the video or download. You can make it private, but you can't change the actual video.
Okay, thank you so much, Sensei. Again, it's a very important day for us, so thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
Hey, sounds good. Take care.
Love you, man.